Hi, this is Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller. We're so excited today. Dr. Ken Rochon, the founder of the Keep Smiling movement, and me, I am the executive director. We'll be talking about smiles today and the Keep Smiling movement, along with one of our recipients, Eddie Latimer, on the Pearl Conversations with Pearl show today. And we're super excited. So let's get on with those smiles.
Sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Won't you leave the clouds you're under? Ain't it funny how there ain't no rain? All clear. Why'd it take so long to leave you in the rearview mirror?
Everybody, this is Pearl Sharenza, and I am so excited to be here today for another Conversations with Pearl podcast show. And this is unusual. We have not one, not two, but we have three guests on. And I'm excited because I met one of the guests at an event I was at a couple weeks ago. And from across the room, his smile just lit up and his energy. And I was like, I need to get to know him. And I hadn't had that opportunity to do that. And all of a sudden I run into Dr. Andrea and kind of find out she knew Eddie. So she connected me with Eddie and the story just evolves from there. His story is amazing. And I didn't realize that they were all connected to Dr. Ken Rochon. So I know Dr. Ken from being in an event that I did a few months ago with a competition for speaking. And just recently in Vegas, it happened again. And I got to know Ken even more and found out a lot more about his Keep Smiling movement. And I'm excited to have him here. And especially because we're going to share Eddie's story today. And it's an amazing story that I think will touch everybody's heart that's here. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And first, I want to introduce to you Dr. Ken Rochon. He is a Renaissance man, a humanitarian, and an accomplished serial entrepreneur. Established his successes with the Umbrella Syndicate, Perfect Publishing, and Absolute Entertainment. He's a social proof celebrity event photographer, international keynote speaker, and published author of 26 plus books. And I'm actually in one of those books. I'm so excited. He's the founder of the nonprofit organization, the Keep Smiling movement. Now, who doesn't want to keep smiling, right? It's been honored as America's most influential business connector and entrepreneur of the year. Ken's focus is supporting and promoting great leaders, authors, and speakers. He helps businesses grow using amplification strategies in their events and product campaigns. He has exceeded 995 five-star reviews, making him one of the most recommended businesses worldwide. I want to introduce Dr. Ken Rochon to you. Welcome, Dr. Ken.
Well, hello, Pearl. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. How was your holidays and New Year's?
It was divine. I mean, Facebook put a little kink in because they don't like me having this new account in the new year, but I'm telling you what, we are going to smile through it.
Absolutely. I keep smiling, right? I love that. So
well, that is actually it, though, Pearl. I mean, if you have things that take you out at the beginning of the year, you really are setting yourself up for a bad year. And so whatever the challenge is, you have so many things to be grateful for. And I wanted to just give a gratitude statement to good old Christoph J. Wyman, because I don't know if the show would exist if it wasn't for him in the context that we have right now. He came up with a vision of Ultimate Sphere competition, and you spoke with your heart. I've seen you twice, and you're fantastic. And here we are with a better friendship because of that opportunity and experience.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important too, that those connections and really, as you make those connections and being, I'm very sincere when I make connections, and I love to help elevate others, as I see you do through the photography and the Keep Smiling movement. And it's just so powerful. And, we could go in this new year, like you said, Facebook kind of is giving you this little glitch, right? But you're not letting it stop you. You're smiling through it. And, I believe challenges just make us better. Then something else comes out from the other end, right?
Well, the other thing I would like to say before we start the show is that the three people I'm with today, every one of these people keeps showing up. And it really is a sign that you're doing good things in the world when good people keep showing up in your life. And when you're not seeing them enough, you need to ask yourself, how can I play bigger? And that's, I'm just so glad to see Eddie again. He has one of the most beautiful smiles. I'd like to divert the camera. Eddie, can you give that big, gorgeous smile that you give to people?
Yes.
Yeah, you are one of my favorite smilers. And by the way, you're going to be in the new book, Black History Year, celebrating every single day. And you are going to be in the new edition. Andrea is formulating at least 100 people that are being added. And then Pearl, you are in her book called the Birthday Book for Women Empowerment.
Nice.
So I wanted to just say that we want to start the new year off by celebrating every day. And so I'm just excited to be celebrating the day with you, Pearl.
Well, I'm excited to have you here as well. And let's go ahead while we're talking about that, introduce our other guests that we have. So I know we have Dr. Andrea. Let me hold on one second. She is part of your, she's a dream maker. I love that too about her. She is that dream maker. She's an international award-winning author, international publicist, business consultant, and sponsorship acquisitionist who manifests your dreams bigger than you ever dared to dream possible. Just imagine your life is positively affected when your right message, service, and products are known to the world. And she has a whirlwind of energy. I was around that energy a few weeks ago. She's shared the stage with the outstanding leaders like Anthony Hopkins, Jack Canfield, Stedman Graham, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, and more. And she has that authority and credibility and connections to put you in the limelight and create those joint ventures. So welcome, Dr. Andrea, to the show, and tell us a little bit more about you and how you are connected to the Keep Smiling movement.
Well, so it's almost 7 years now ago that I met Ken Rochon, Dr. Smiley, and he shortly thereafter met a gentleman named Barry Shore who had this Keep Smiling card, which I happen to not have one of them in front of me. I'm in a different location. Ken's got his holding up there. Ken, if you'll take your off the mic and say, hey, keep smiling. That way the camera goes on you. That way they can see the card.
All right, here we go. I've never said it before, but keep smiling, world, because not just America smiles, everyone in the world smiles because it's the universal expression.
Right.
Oh, and if I may add, the back of the card has, we amplify goodness.
And we definitely do that. And we have the card in over 27 languages now. And so it's a really great opportunity for people to share smiles all over the world. And when Ken met Barry Shore, Ken was very moved and motivated by taking this card and making it a movement all over the world so that everyone has an opportunity to smile. Ken came up with this great idea of putting some books together and putting all these pictures of all these beautiful people of smiles in these photojournalistic books. He then talked to me about it and said, Andrea, what can we do to make this even bigger? We then branched out on the books to do different genres, to include stories, and then started making a movement. And then I eventually made it a nonprofit. So we are a legal 501c3, and we save lives with smiles by creating a dose of hope. And that's dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And I actually knew Eddie then. I met Eddie in 2007, and he was a man who had this great, great smile. However,
do the smile again, Eddie.
His great, great smile was a little impeded because he's had some dental challenges. And I want him to be able to, he's already got a beautiful smile. I want him to be very confident and feel good about his smile all the time and be free of any pain. And so I had the opportunity to introduce him to Ken this last year. And then Eddie came out and met me in Vegas. We were at a Bill Walsh event, Power Team International, and met Pearl. And that's who she was saying. She was just mesmerized with the smile. And here we go. Now we're all together.
Well, I'd like to interject that Eddie does feel good about his smile because he exhibits it all the time. But anyone that has any dental wellness issues, you need to take care of them because there's pain. There's obviously everything that we put in our mouth can actually end up causing us to be unwell. So it's important that his mouth is well, so he can smile just as well as he is feeling well. And by the way, Eddie, I saw you doing some really cool moves. You were doing this move and this move and all the moves that show what a great haircut you have.
Yes.
I do want to say there is no better haircut than that. So I think you're trying to show the ladies here what they can look like if they just did a little bit of hair removal, right?
Yes. Matter of fact, I just shaved this morning.
You look beautiful.
I just got shaved this morning.
Yeah, you look
Mhm.
handsome. That this reminds me, the books, we have 170, Pearl, and we have a speaker book. We have a bald, beautiful, and bold book. Of course, Eddie is going to be in several books, and so will you, because the theme actually attracts community. So when Pearl wants to be a bigger speaker and have more impact, we put her with 100 other speakers in a book showing that she's doing really great things. But then these people learn about her, they connect with her, they get her on a show, and they find her more opportunities to have impact. So I just want to say, Eddie, you have caused this show to happen because of your smile.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Eddie. I mean, when I was at the Bill Walsh event, the Power Team event, I definitely, from across the room, I was like, "Oh, I got to go over there and figure out how to, it's such a strict schedule, right? Get over there and meet you because you just exemplify that energy." And I just love being around people who have that energy. And then you have this vision of, paying forward and giving back. And I just think it's so powerful you brought this together, like Ken said, making those connections. It's just so powerful. People here locally call me the connectors. I'm like, you need something? Let me get you connected to it. Right. And it's just amazing. I mean, I made a connection that's bringing me to Connecticut. I made a connection with Ken.
Oh my gosh. You just said you made a connection to Connecticut. I mean, this is insane. You gave me a double shout out in one sentence.
Yeah, there you go. See? So I'm getting all over, and it's just starting small and making those connections and making sure that, they're sincere, because who you surround yourself with, like Ken, you were saying, like,
yes,
Dr. Andrea, you could just tell the relationship you guys have by how she speaks about you in this movement, and your vision comes through, and then have somebody on here like Eddie here as well. So I appreciate you putting us together. I know, Ken, you have to be running because you've got this Keep Smiling movement that's got to just keep moving. So I know you have to leave us. So before you
we're going to put you on my show, Pearl, but I have a phenomenal guest, and I just want to do a little more meditation, but this is the guest I have today.
I love it.
And he's played with everyone. I just want to say that I love the fact that I'm on your show, and I want to say something about, I love also what you have behind you, and the Dream Big is causing me to say something, because when you have the right messages around you, like, what are you doing to inspire hope? What are you doing to create inspiration? Your Dream Big, about 7 years ago, I had the opportunity, not a gentleman like Eddie. Eddie is full of life at the 10th level, right? But I did have somebody that really needed to have some dental work. And I got a dentist after 3 years of finding a dentist, having conversation with dentists. One said, I will do the work. It was about $30,000 worth of work. He's in the Baltimore area, wonderful guy. Dr. Mensch is his name. And he put his love into making sure a man who had just absolutely rotted teeth could have a full, beautiful smile. And he has these beautiful pearly white teeth. And that caused the first book. That caused there's 175 books that have been created since that person. So Eddie is a reminder to me that when you change a smile and you change the trajectory of someone having impact in the world, that's the chapter we want to have. So my Dream Big comment to you, Pearl, is I'd like to partner with you and do 1,000 Keep Smiling books with 1,000 people like Eddie that have their smile transformed because of a dentist or because of funding or whatever. And that's dreaming big. So I just want to say that on the air at the beginning of this year, that you have a beautiful message, and obviously you're embodying everything that has to do with leadership.
Thank you so much, Ken. I would love to do that. So we're in on that. So whatever we can do to support that, you've got it. I've got a team. Not just myself. I got amazing ambassadors that work with me, as well as you have a great team as well. So I'm in for that. So before we let you go, we're going to ask you a question, and we'll get with Eddie and Andrea near the end of the show for their question. So I'm going to shuffle these cards, and you're going to tell me when to stop.
Well, Eddie's the lucky one. Eddie, you say stop when you're ready.
Okay, here we go. Tell me when to stop. All right, Ken, your question is, I don't know that this is, how can I be kinder to others?
You know what? This pandemic has taught me the way you can be kinder to others is to stay in a conversation with them. Before the pandemic, I was kind in the moment, and life gets busy and you just kind of forget about people. And so what I've done to be kinder with people is I have index cards that remind me of the people that mean a lot to me, and I shuffle them. So I have at least 10 reminders per morning of who I'd like to reconnect with. And that's a great way to be kinder to people.
I love that. So everybody listening, you guys hear that? What a great tip. Get index cards, right? Those people that are dear and near to you, and shuffle them, and every day pick one and reach out to them, and you never know. I mean, it's kind of like the pay it forward, pay for the guy behind you in the line at the fast food place, right? It's that, you might reach out to somebody who needs to hear that from you that day, right? You just don't know. And how cool, what a great idea.
And just to make it simple, because everything in life is difficult until you create a habit with it. So what I shared with Dr. Andrea is I was committed to doing up to 10 index cards a day. Now, if you can't do 10, just do one. Because if you did one index card a day, by next year, you'd have 365 to shuffle.
I love that.
And by the way, you can pick it out of your directory. You can pick it out of a Keep Smiling book. You can pick it out of your Facebook account. I mean, you can pick it off someone you just met. But Eddie is in my stack. I'm upstairs when I work in the light, but downstairs in the studio. So I have a stack now. Right now, it's this tall. It's about 300 index cards, and it is so fun to shuffle and say, "Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to them in a while." So just like your questions, where Eddie stopped and it changed and pivoted the conversation. The commitment of the conversation was about amplifying goodness. So it doesn't matter what question you ask; it's going to pivot into how do you make something better.
I love it. Thanks so much for sharing that tip, Ken. And thanks for being on. I know you got a scoot to help other people smile.
And we are going to have you on Amplified, and we're going to have you on Amplified because your chapter in Dose of Hope, which I'll just give a quick shout out, is including Eddie. So everyone on the show is in Dose of Hope, and everything about hope is just 10 minutes a day. You can just get a dose of hope, and you got your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins firing off and giving you the ammo you need to have a smile on your face and a great attitude.
Thank you so much, Ken.
I love you, Eddie.
Oh.
I love your haircut, and I know you're muted, but I can read lips. You said, I love your haircut back, and I love you.
You too. Love you too, Ken.
Thank you so
much.
This is going to be a very, very big triumph for both of us, because I know you've been walking around a long time with a big heart, and you deserve to actually have your smile match that. All right.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, Ken, have a great day. All right.
You too.
So we're going to
See you soon, Ken.
See you soon.
So I want to go to Dr. Andrea, because I would love for you to introduce Eddie to the audience, but also to share a little bit about yourself and about the Keep Smiling movement, and where are you guys going with the movement?
Well, thank you for asking me. So when Ken met me, Dr. Ken met me, we met on the Internet Marketers Cruise. And so that's at the time when pre-pandemic and so forth, there was about 450 people, peers that were Internet marketers and doing some amazing things on a cruise together. And so we would go and do business and mastermind. And that's where Ken and I first met. And I was a publicist then. I've been a publicist for multiple years. In fact, I just took a test for one of my really amazing corporate business clients. He does consulting, and he had me do a predictive index test. And I'd never taken the test before. It's a really easy test to take, and it tells you who you are. And we had a great giggle because in order to work with people, he has them take this test. And I was the promoter. And we were like, well, like we couldn't have figured that one out. So yeah, it's very funny, Eddie. We had a good giggle about that. And that I naturally am a promoter. I love people. I care about them. And I want to promote who they are and what they do in their best light. And in their best light could be radio, television, magazines, joint ventures, partnerships. And so I've been really on a course to play really, really big. Right now, I'm in collaborations with multiple people to, we can't reveal all of them yet. A lot of the people I work with, it's do not disclose secret information. I have done work in the past with people that I can't share. So I've done some stuff with Michael Jackson family with a celebration of life for Michael for 4 years. We did that. But it's an amazing world. And that's why, as executive producer of Dr. Ken Rochon's radio show, Amplified radio show on Voice America Influencers channel, I've been able to bring really great guests that I've met through my connections. So you said you're a connector. Well, that's what I love to do as well. And so Kenny Aronoff, the drummer that's on today, that will air later as well, he played for John Cougar Mellencamp. And so he's part of Jack and Diane and
My
Fogerty.
favorite band. I love that. I love that. That's like my I'm going to age myself. That's my high school song.
It's okay. We'll tell them it was a remix. No. Yeah. And so Pearl, people like you, I mean, I love the idea of what you're going to be doing this next year and how you're going to shine so bright with your tour and everything that you're doing. And those are things that I love to support and love to get behind, is how do we make that happen for you? How do we make it visible and possible that you get to show up?
I love it. And I'm excited to learn more and collaborate with you on that too, because our conversation with Pearl Tour is, it's going to be a great, because we're those who haven't heard before, we're going to go on the road with a bougie living room and a vintage trailer, and we're going to connect women across the country and just sit down and have conversations about what's challenging you, what do you need help with, what's going on, how can we support you. And we're actually going to connect. We haven't finalized it yet, but we have a nonprofit that we're connecting with, which as well. So I can't announce it as well. Like you said, we got to keep certain things close to chest right now, but I'm excited about that because it really exemplifies what I want to do to support women. So I'm really excited about that. So I want to get Eddie on, and let's talk about Eddie. So I'm going to let you, Dr. Andrea, introduce Eddie to us. Tell us a little bit about his story. And then Eddie, I want to hear from you about your story and what, your journey and what keeps you motivated.
Well, thank you for that. So in 2008, I was at an event and it was being run. The host is James Malinchek. You guys might have heard of him. He's done some pretty cool things throughout his life, and he really attracts an amazing group of people. And I was a part of his mastermind, his group. I even did some work with him and some amazing things. And I appreciated that James always gave me the credit and validation for the things that I did with him and the company. And while I was at his different events and having such a lovely time there, there was a gentleman that would come to the events. And I met him the first time he came, and his name was Eddie Latimer. And Eddie was so sweet and gregarious and friendly and so kind and unassuming, and yet wanted to learn. You could really tell that he really wanted to learn. And through chats with him and another gentleman named Tony Branch, who Coach Branch was on Secret Millionaire as a recipient of some funds that James Malinchek was on that television show, that Tony and I became friends. And Tony became friends with Eddie as well. And Tony had kind of whispered to me one day, he said, I think Eddie's one of the people who was able to come here because he was able to get himself a free ticket to be here. And I already am always impressed when I meet people who want to better their life and to do great things by being resourceful and finding out how they can go and learn and be a part of things by being a +1 on someone's ticket, or finding something online where there's an opportunity for them to have to come to an event for either free or for a low investment. And that's what Eddie had done. And that's why he was there. So I was very impressed that he wanted something more for himself. And so through that, Eddie and I really got to know each other. And there's much more to that story, but I'll let Eddie share some of it.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate that story. But I'm going to go ahead and start it from just before we met. Back from 2001 to 2005, I was a well-rounded, multi-talented customer service person over at Office Depot. And my feel-good energy, as well as my ability to go ahead and communicate with customers, was so infectious that I got numerous what they call wallpaper, meaning that I had little certificates showing how well I did in my customer service skills, as well as making people feel good. Some of my classmates, that's not my classmates, some of my workmates were impressed with my talents and skills. My whole cubicle was filled nothing but wallpaper. And unfortunately, in 2005, the mistakes that Depot did with the Staples merger that failed caused us to go ahead and lose our jobs. Out of all the call centers that were open, unfortunately, only two remain. One in Norcross and one in Depot's one of Depot's home locations out in Florida. But before I left, there was a person who was so impressed with my customer service. She was like, Eddie, if you're ever in Vegas, give me a call. If you're looking for work, give me a call. Turns out she was the president of a property management firm that's now located in the Summerlin section of Vegas. But at that time, she was in another part of Vegas. But she was so impressed. And thanks to the severance check that I got from Depot, I was able to go ahead and do back and forth trips out there. So fast forward a little bit later on, I go ahead and run across James's show, James's episode of Secret Millionaire, and found out he was out in Vegas. So I sent him a little email with my resume. I didn't hear nothing from him. But 4 years later, just when I'm about to meet you, I go ahead and get an email from him inviting me over. And that's how it picks up. And ever since then, I've been having a fascination for Vegas because every time something happens out there, every time I go ahead and go out there, I should say, something always happens good. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my iPhone right quick. So give me a moment here. Thanks to my success. Oh, now I lost my camera. Now I lost the photo that I wanted to do. But in the process of me looking, trying to go ahead and find something that utilizes not only my administrative, but also my customer service, tech, web, and security skills, I was able to go ahead and meet some very, very well-known people. And on one of my Vegas trips, I had a chance to meet, I don't know if the camera could get this, but that was Penn of Penn and Teller.
Oh, nice.
But one of my other highlights is I went on ahead and while I was job searching, I also wanted to go ahead and help out people as well. And one of the people that I wanted to go ahead and get with was a very well-known individual and entrepreneur out in Vegas. And his name was the late Tony Shea. And one of my unique letters that I went on ahead and created for him as I was job searching out in Vegas, he was so impressed with how the presentation I did with it, my letter and my resume, he forwarded it over to his key person over in human resources who follows me on Twitter to this day.
And Eddie, I think it's such, it just says everything that I was impressed with you and like Dr. Andrea when she was introducing you, how you even through the camera, I just want to go, let's go. Come on, Eddie, let's just go do something together because you just are so excited. And I take you're excited about life too, right? Like I can feel like every day you get up, you're smiling and, part of the segment is to help you, we want to get some help with your smile, but it's not stopping you. And, and I think that's so important for the listeners to understand and those that are watching to know that, life hasn't been easy for you, Eddie, right? You've had these challenges and these up and downs, but guess what? Eddie gets up every day and he finds something to be grateful for, including his smile. I mean, his smile is one of the things that got me across the room. And I think it's just really awesome. And so I want to know, Eddie, like what some people go, oh, that just sounds so easy. It's not easy to be like that, right? You have to have the mindset, right?
You definitely have to have the mindset because there's already so much drama out there. The networks can go ahead and put back on every canceled soap opera. You always want to go ahead and have a feel-good attitude because you don't know who you're going to motivate. You don't know who you're going to go ahead and turn around and help out. Matter of fact, over this past weekend, thanks to a little banner ad that I saw from one of our commuter trains that we use out here in Southern California, I was able to help a homeless person go ahead and get a couple of free rides through the little link that I provided him.
I think, and that's so important to understand that it's, you have to make the effort. And, I have a group of women that I coach every Sunday evening. It's called our Shira League. And we were talking about this last night. We have to make the choice to get up and look at what am I grateful for? Yeah, I could say, we're going through this horrible pandemic and it's very sad for the people that are sick and we're losing. But if I was to concentrate just on the sadness of that, I'll be sitting sad all the time. But what can I do to do something better? What can I do to educate? What can I do to help? And we were talking last night, to be thankful for what we have, because like you said, you helped that homeless man. I actually said last night in our segment, I'm like, when was the last time you stopped and handed somebody at the corner something to eat? They just, even if it's just something to eat, right? Or when was the last time you asked somebody, what can I help you with? Right? What can I do? And when I heard your story in Vegas at the Bill Walsh thing, I was like, Dr. Andrea, let's get him on my show, because I have amazing women that are listening to the show, amazing listeners. I have I know a few really great dentists that I want to share this segment with that I would really love to see if we can get some help. And so that's my thing. I want to take the show and do things that I can pay it forward and reach out to others and say, hey, it's just not in our little circle where you live, but it's around the world. What can we do? And what I think is really cool is you said you're in California, right? You're in Southern California, but to the listeners and everybody watching, he made his way to get to Vegas to go do something to improve himself, right? To go and do something that allows him to learn and improve and learn how to educate and exemplify what he already does and one up himself, right? How can I learn today? And I think that's really, really, really awesome. And I'm going to ask you this question, but I think I already know the answer, and I'm going to, after you answer, I want to pass it off to Dr. Andrea too. I want to know how do you create harmony in your life? In today's world, there's so much that's happening, but how do you create the harmony in your life? And what do you, on the days that you feel like, oh, I don't want to do this today, what is it, some of the things that you might do to help you keep that harmony?
Have a great iPad full of music, as well as Joel Osteen. Always have a good sense of humor. I always try and look on the bright side of life of everything. And also, I'm sorry, I got the giggles. Because I'm thinking of something funny right now, and it's just the fact of me just making sure that I'm putting myself in a position to where if I'm not feeling good, I'm going to try my best to go ahead and dig deep and down inside and go ahead and find that little spark to go ahead and give me that to go ahead and get up. Let's do this.
I love it. And so I want to make sure our listeners know how to reach out to you, because I know, I'm not sure what your current job situation is. We haven't asked you that question, but there may be somebody that's listening that may want to have a great customer service rep like yourself is. And so how do our listeners find you? I think you mentioned Twitter. You're on social media, it sounds like.
Yes, I'm on Twitter at Eclectic Eddie, ECLECTIC, Eddie, EDDIE. Instagram at Eclectic Eddie, the numeric 1. And I also just launched coachedbyeddie.com. Coachedbyeddie.com.
So you're becoming a coach. I love it. Yay. We need really great coaches with attitudes like yourself.
Eddie, that's one thing I love about Eddie is he does have great customer service skills, and his ability to coach other people so that they could be excellent in their job and in their life and in with their the people that they work with customer service is fantastic. He's only ever had wonderful reviews, and it's just amazing. And that's what's kind of funny too, is I want people to be cognizant of that. You can be absolutely amazing. You can be on time. You can show up. You can be excellent at your job, and then the jobs don't always fulfill who you are. So Eddie's fallen in this gap between people who are overqualified and jobs that are undervalued for what he does. And so he's in that in between. And so when you're in that between, it can be very, very challenging. And then that also what happens for people all across the United States is when they're in between that income gap, especially when you live in Southern California, that's a high cost of living living there, then it puts you in that parable where how do you handle like with medical care and dental insurance, where then he falls in that gap of being able to get a really great health care that can help with some challenges. And people all over the world have health challenges. I have friends who are multimillionaires who have equally challenging mouth challenges where, they had poor enamel as babies, or they had antibiotics and had, graying enamel and stuff. And it just happens to everyone. They just happen to have the funding to fix it themselves, where in Eddie, he's in that gap. And so that's why we want to fill the gap so that Eddie can, we love his smile. We just want to be able to have his health, because we know that your teeth affect, your heart, how you breathe, how you chew, your, digestion, everything. And we want Eddie to be really, really healthy and well.
Dr. Andrea, tell us how our listeners can help with Eddie's journey. Let us know how we can do that. And we'll also be posting it as well, but go ahead and share that with us.
Yeah. So the Keep Smiling Movement, you can go to thekeepsmilingmovement.com, www.thekeepsmilingmovement.com. We have a donate button right there. You can go to PayPal and donate. And our symbol for PayPal is at Keep Smiling Movement, or keepsmilingmovement@gmail.com. Just as easy to go to the site. And if you have any other questions, or if you want to do a direct deposit, or if you want to do a Cash App or Venmo, you can reach out to me through the keepsmilingmovement.com, and I'll be happy to help initiate that. We also do take in-kind gifts. So if you have services that you'd like to provide, Southwest points, because we do other things and other operations. And if we don't have to pay for those other things that we need for resources, then we have more money so that we can put towards helping other people with their mental and dental challenges. And that's really what we're all about.
And then should they earmark it, if they want to earmark it for Eddie? Did they just mention Eddie?
If you want it, if it's specifically for Eddie, just write in Eddie. And if you trust us to appropriate it so that we take care of the multiple things, then you don't have to write anything. But I'll also look at the timing. If I see it falls around this date, I'll be able to. And if I know that you follow Pearl or you're a friend of hers, we should be able to track that a little bit, just as long as you put something in there for us so that we know that you know her. So we do not share how much you donated to anyone in particular. However, if you have a relationship with Pearl and have told her you've donated, I can verify that that's happened and so forth, and we'll get you a receipt for those funds. And so,
the bonus would be to all our amazing dentists that are out there listening. If Eddie is his story, or either Keep Smiling Movement is something that you're like, I want to learn more, definitely reach out as well to all those connections, because we would love to have you on the show and share why you were part of this movement and what resonates with you. So I'm so excited. I'm glad we got to be here today. I know you've got another show to go to as well. So I want to do the question really, really quick. We'll let Eddie pick a card. You guys can both answer it. How's that sound?
Okay, sounds good.
And it's called the Better Questions, Better Life. I'm not affiliated with it, but you can go online and get the cards, betterquestionsbetterlife.com. So Eddie, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
All right. So the question is, am I using my time wisely? So I'm going to let Eddie, 1 minute, Eddie. And then
may I go first, because I have to leave, because I have Kenny Aronoff waiting for me from John Cougar Mellencamp and all the others.
Okay. So you go first, and then Eddie and I will close out.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller, Executive Director of the Keep Smiling Movement. I also have two other businesses, the redcarpetconnection.com, where I am an international publicist and business consultant. So how do I effectively manage time, or how could I do it even more, is I'm a multitasker, but there's only a very few people of us in the world can do that. And I would be able even to manage my time even better if I had more people in my world and in my staff that I delegated to. So I too, even though I'm really good at managing time, could manage my time even better by letting other people know I need help. And I've been actively doing that the last 2 weeks. And so I am going to now get on the other show. So I'm multitasking right here. So I'm managing time now. So love to you both.
Love you, Andrea.
Finish us up.
All right.
Eddie, I'm so glad we had you today. So I want you to answer the question, am I using my time wisely?
Using my time wisely has been great for me because I keep a set schedule. Whenever something, and then on top of that, you got to go ahead and allow for any gaps. I have a bestie who I love to death, but for some reason or another, they can't keep their schedule is tighter than a debutante's dance card. And it's like, baby, you got to go ahead and have time to go ahead and do this, that, and the other. You have to go ahead and allow for any delays. You have to go ahead and allow for any 11th and a half hour surprises. So I manage my time pretty well. I go ahead and have a set schedule, but I also allow for like little times to go ahead and have like a little buffer zone. So just in case if anything does come up, I can go ahead and do that. And then with the technology that we have today, and most places have Wi-Fi. Hey, if I'm running behind, I go ahead and let them know through phone, or I can go ahead and walk and talk at the same time. But luckily for me, I haven't ran into any poles.
I love it, Eddie. I just love your energy. I thought I was on mute there for a second. I just love your energy. I love the fact that, it's everybody listening. It's 7:00 in the morning where Eddie came in from, just so everybody understands. He got up and was committed to doing this with us because I really wanted you guys to hear his story. And so I'm excited you are here. I'm honored to have met you in Vegas. I'm honored to have you on my show. I can't wait to see all the great things that are coming for you and and the coaching and whatever we can do here at Women Successful Living and Conversations with Pearl to support you on that. You've got our support. I'm going to ask you for one sentence to leave our audience to remember you by.
One of my favorite quotes from a book that I'm working on called Eddieisms. And you're going to get a good laugh out of this. You ready? You can't run an Oprah show with a Jerry Springer crew.
I love it. Could you imagine that? My
Yeah.
goodness gracious. Could you guys imagine? So if Oprah Winfrey, when you're listening to this, we get the different caliber. That's so true. It's who your crew is makes the world different. Who's supporting you, right? Makes the difference. If you don't have the right support, and you know what, I've been in business for a little while, and to find the right support, sometimes it's been challenging, and knowing who you want around you and make sure the goals are aligned with what you're doing. And that's really powerful. And I see that with what you're doing with Dr. Ken and Dr. Andrea with the Keep Smiling movement. And I can't wait to get this message out. So those that are listening, you have been listening to Conversations with Pearl. Eddie, I want to thank you so much for coming. And as I tell everybody out there that's listening, I always close the show with that. We come into this world, we're this beautiful oyster. And as we go through and we start opening our oyster, within inside of that oyster is a beautiful pearl. So I want to encourage you to go find your inner pearl to greatness and have an amazing day. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you, Pearl. Have a great day today, everyone.
Hello, sunshine, good to see